Okay, so I hope you like that last section. We got a little deep, but I think it's pretty interesting to take something that we slept through in physics class and make it applicable to guitar tone. Did you ever think that we'd be talking about nodes and antinodes, right? Anyway, let's get to the fun stuff. But before I get on to this subject, I just want to make this very clear to you. I'm not a religious zealot. I'm just going to list all the facts and drop in some opinions from time to time. I know there's plenty of nasty guitar forums out there that people scream at each other over, Gibson versus Fender, straight through necks versus bolt-ons. But here's where I stand. All of these things are just tools in your tool belt that you use to create beautiful music. And if you can do that on an old Ibanez you found at a garage sale years ago, then who am I to shame you into buying, a multi-$1,000 vintage Strat? If it works for you, then great, it works for you. I'm just not that dogmatic. To actually show you how agnostic I am on this topic, my main computer is a Mac running both Mac and Windows. I switch back and forth. I use multiple applications, multiple guitars, multiple amps, multiple stomp boxes, hardware, software, whatever works, and I hope you do too. I'll just try to list the options and the general positions of most of the stuff out there in terms of the benefits and the shortcomings of all the options. If you don't agree about your favorite artist or about the merits of a certain guitar or feature of a guitar, so be it. Anyway, after that long disclaimer, let's look at the main category of guitars. There are many, many more guitars than these four, but let's just go through with the Stratocaster, Telecaster, Les Paul, and 335 type. And in terms of what type of guitar they are or what style they are, both of the Fenders and the Les Paul, they're all solid, so they're made out of a solid piece of wood, where the 335 is a semi-acoustic. In terms of the woods, the Fenders tend to be made out of ash and alder, Les Paul's typically mahogany, and 335 is a maple and poplar. The scales on the Fenders are 25.5 inch, their scale length, and the Gibsons are 24 3/4, coming in 3/4 of an inch shorter, which means that you need less string tension on them to bring them to the same pitch as you would anything with the 25.5 inch scale. That's why you can get kind of more of a chunkier tone out of the Les Paul and the 335, because the string tension is a little bit less. And in terms of the pickups on the Stratocaster, you have 3 single coils. 2 single coils on the Telecaster. There's a few things that are different on the Tele. The Tele's pickup has a copper plate mounted on the base of the pickup, and the pickup itself is mounted to the bridge rather than to the plastic pickguard in the case of the Strat. And it's also worth noting that the Tele's pickup is angled slightly towards the bridge to favor the higher overtones on its thin strings. And then in terms of the Gibsons, they both have 2 humbuckers. In terms of tone, Strat is bright. The Telecaster is brighter than that. Les Paul tends to be a little bit darker, and the 335 tends to be a little darker as well. In terms of sustain, the Fenders have good sustain. The Les Paul probably has the best, and the 335 would probably come in a little bit less than that. But in terms of its susceptibility to feedback, or whether it's microphonic, the Strat and Tele and the Les Paul tend not to be, but the 335 tends to be a little bit more microphonic.